how many automakers save their best work for last? While some brands like Plymouth, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac quietly faded away, leaving behind a trail of forgettable cars, a few defied the odds by producing something extraordinary right before the end. Among these rare exceptions, none stands out more than the Studebaker Avanti, a car that was truly ahead of its time. Marketed as America's only four-passenger high-performance personal car, the Studebaker Avanti was a bold move by a company on the brink. Produced between June 1962 and December 1963, it was not just a car, it was a statement, and that's why we're talking of it as the real Hellcat. Designed by the legendary Raymond Loewy, the Avanti embodied sleek, futuristic styling and innovative engineering. It boasted features that prioritized safety and speed, and upon its debut, it was declared the fastest production car in the world. And this was just a secret project, a modified Avanti with its supercharged 289 cubic inch R3 engine, tearing through the Bonneville salt flats at over 170 miles per hour, shattering 29 world speed records. For a company that had faced years of financial struggles, the Avanti was nothing short of a triumph. But how did Studebaker, a brand with roots stretching back to 1852, get to this point? Founded by brothers, Clement and Henry Studebaker, the company originally thrived as one of America's largest producers of wagons, buggies, and carriages, helping to build the American West. By the early 20th century, the Studebaker Brothers Manufacturing Company had become a prominent automaker, delivering iconic vehicles like the Big Six, Commander, Pinehurst, President, and Lark. However, the post-war era brought challenges. Following a troubled merger with Packard and fierce competition from automotive giants like General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, Studebaker struggled to stay afloat. The company needed a bold move, and in 1963, they introduced the Avanti, a sleek, sporty coupe that bucked every convention of the time. It was more than just a car. It was an uncompromising vision meant to rewrite Studebaker's legacy. And that brings us to the car we're here to talk about. Why was this beast, this Avanti, built 60 years ago in the first place? And for those who might not be familiar with the Hellcat we're referring to, it's the Dodge Hellcat V8. Does Dodge really believe in the saying, "If you ain't first, you're last"? Probably not, and here's why. For over 100 years, Dodge has had a history of chasing the competition's taillights, and the story of the Dodge Challenger is a perfect example. The original Challenger didn't hit the streets until 1970, years after the Ford Mustang started the pony car craze in 1964, and the Chevy Camaro joined the scene in 1967. Compared to these two icons, the Challenger's early years were short-lived. The first generation ended in 1974, and the second generation, 1978 to 1983, was little more than a rebadged Mitsubishi Galant, a chapter most Mopar fans would rather forget. Fast forward to 2008, and Dodge brought the Challenger back with a retro look and a modern Hemi V8 under the hood. At first, it seemed ready to take on Chevy's Camaro and Ford's Mustang. However, as Chevy and Ford kept improving their cars with cutting-edge tech and sharper track performance, the Challenger started to fall behind. Dodge was at a crossroads. Should they follow the same path as their rivals or do something completely different? Dodge chose the latter, leaning into what made muscle cars legendary: raw power and jaw-dropping quarter-mile times. Their plan came to life in 2015 with the introduction of the Challenger SRT Hellcat. This wasn't just any muscle car. It packed a monstrous 707 horsepower, supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine. It didn't just compete, it dominated. At the time, the Hellcat blew past its biggest rivals, the 580-horsepower Camaro ZL1 and the 662-horsepower Mustang Shelby G500. How fast was it? In testing, the Hellcat roared to 60 miles per hour in just 3.6 seconds and sped through the quarter mile in 11.6 seconds at 126 miles per hour. And the best part? It started at around $60,000, making it one of the most affordable ways to get hypercar-level power. Along with the Hellcat's debut, Dodge refreshed the entire Challenger lineup with better interiors, updated engines, and sharper styling. But the Hellcat stole the spotlight, laying the groundwork for even wilder models. So, why did Dodge gamble on the Hellcat engine in the first place? Because the Challenger and its sibling, the Charger, were aging fast. Rivals like the Mustang and Camaro were stealing the show, and Dodge needed something radical to stay relevant. Enter the Hellcat, a car that wasn't just fast, but exciting enough to reignite the passion for Dodge's muscle cars. It worked. Dodge has sold over 100,000 Hellcat-powered models, keeping the Challenger and Charger alive and profitable for years. The Hellcat wasn't just an engine, it was a statement. It reminded everyone why we love muscle cars in the first place. So, does Dodge really believe in being first, or are they just focused on being unforgettable? Isn't it fascinating how history repeats itself in the automotive world? The Studebaker R2 Supercharged V8 and the Dodge Hellcat V8 may have been built decades apart, but their stories share a strikingly similar theme. Both engines were born from the need to breathe life into aging platforms, using sheer power and innovation to capture the public's attention. While the Hellcat roared onto the scene with the financial backing and marketing muscle of Dodge, the R2 Supercharged V8 emerged as a beacon of ingenuity during Studebaker's final years, built on a shoestring budget by a company fighting for survival. The Studebaker R2 wasn't just a desperate attempt to stay relevant, it was a masterpiece of engineering for its time. Packing 290 horsepower, advanced features like disc brakes, and a 0-60 miles per hour time of 7.3 seconds, the R2-powered Super Lark was essentially the Hellcat of the 1960s. Think about it. How many cars back then could hit 130 miles per hour while still offering a refined, everyday driving experience? It was a car that dared to push boundaries, just like the Hellcat did decades later. Sure, the Hellcat became a massive commercial success, while the R2 Super Lark quietly faded into obscurity. But isn't that what makes the R2's story even more compelling? Despite limited resources and a grim financial outlook, Studebaker managed to create something truly remarkable. It was a car built for enthusiasts, a bold statement of what could be achieved with determination and creativity. In the end, both the R2 and the Hellcat leave behind a legacy of high-performance engineering that still inspires car lovers today. One represents a brand's triumphant resurgence. The other, a final stand that showed the world what Studebaker was capable of, even in its darkest days. So, when you think of the Hellcat and its mind-blowing power, remember the R2, a forgotten hero that paved the way for performance cars as we know them. Isn't it time we gave it the recognition it truly deserves? While the Avanti couldn't save Studebaker from going out of business, it left behind a lasting legacy. Even today, it's remembered as one of the most unique and remarkable cars ever, made a true example of bold innovation in tough times. Isn't it amazing how a company's final effort can turn out to be its most unforgettable creation? Do you think these two cars share some similarities? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Have any personal experiences or stories about them? Feel free to share, we'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video and learned something new, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button to support our channel, and don't forget to turn on the bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay safe and take care.